I don't. You have to, do the risk evaluation yourself. But even the consumer products that he talked about, they are so different than going out and getting any of the antivirus products that are out there.
Lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou.
Oh, we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing something that's been in the news and is going to continue to be in the news. This is so bloody important. And we're going to be talking about cybersecurity, how sellers can protect themselves in 2024. We're going to be discussing what does the cybersecurity landscape look like today? What are some ways e-commerce sellers can protect themselves? And how does AI play a role in cybersecurity? So welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Okay, like I was saying today, important topic. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity and how sellers can protect themselves in 2024. Our guest is a founder of ReachOut, a cybersecurity expert. He is sought after personality, appearing constantly on nationwide in different networks, and he consults. Get this, with the White House. He's also been featured on CBS, Fox, News Nation, Cheddar, and more. And he hosts a top podcast himself, All In with Rick Jordan. Today we are talking with Rick Jordan. All right, let's have a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
Facing cash flow challenges with your e-commerce business? Discover Viably, your ultimate financial ally. From real-time sales data integrations to immediate funding access, Viably is here to support you. Plan your growth with their free tool for online sellers and engage with specialists whenever you need. Extend your cash flow with Viably.
So let's bring in Rick and we'll get right down to it.
What's shaking, Norm?
Oh, no coffee. Got to switch to Pepsi Zero, and the phone goes off. I'm a total professional.
I feel you. Yeah, we do what we can wherever we're at, right? Like, I mean, we're both at TNC around CES this week, and this is my room in the Encore. If you've never stayed here, I would highly suggest it to anybody. I love these rooms.
Very good. So, yeah, I got snowed in. I got in really late last night, but luckily I'm still here. So I'm going to whip over to TNC, pick up my badge, and get in there. And by the way, anybody who's in Vegas right now, just let me know, and maybe we can meet up over at TNC or CES, wherever you are. Okay, let's get into AI and AI cybersecurity. We had in the $1 Billion Seller Summit, I noticed that there was a buzz going on about cybersecurity last week, and people were getting hacked. One of the guys in the group, one of the very sophisticated sellers in the group, got hacked and made a mess of his Amazon account. So Amazon account. He adjusted the prices. He did all sorts of things. It could have been anybody, but it's wicked. So tell us what's going on in 2024, and what do we have to look out for?
Yeah, you have to look out mostly for the human element, and I've been singing the same song for years. Yeah, so we'll get into the AI stuff, but if you're taking a look at this gentleman that you were talking about, right, large Amazon seller, he probably has a team. My guess is he has a team, and someone on that team, because this is still way over 90% of how the breaches actually occur is through phishing. Somebody sends an email, if you don't know what that is you receive an email that looks legitimate. So he could have received an email straight from Amazon, or at least it looked like Amazon, with maybe amaz0n.com.
Yeah.
Support at that, so it looks extremely legit. And then you click on the link, it's like, oh, it's usually some kind of like an urgent notification, like log into your account. You have some withheld funds or whatever it is, from your seller account. There's a chargeback if it's from your merchant provider. You sign in, and you're not actually signing in, but you're using your Amazon username and password or whatever your backend username and password is. And that's collected because you're actually on the site run by the hackers. So now they have the keys to the kingdom to log into the account themselves and do exactly what you're talking about, which is change the pricing, do whatever they need to, just wreak havoc upon your entire enterprise that you have. Most of this still comes from bad human interaction. It's very expensive, and this is one of the myths that's out there. It's very, very expensive to come up with that silver bullet. If you look at hacking as a business, you're looking at it the correct way, right? I always use the example of like Pablo Escobar. Everybody remember him? Anybody watched Narcos, right? When it was on Netflix? I hope everybody.
Oh,
right?
oh yeah. Good old Pablo.
Yep. Exactly. Well, Pablo was a family man, right? He was a family man and he was a businessman. None of this stuff is personal whatsoever with these guys and girls. When I'm speaking on stages, when I'm talking about cybersecurity, I'll typically use like a nice looking family from Sri Lanka. They're all dressed up nice for their family portrait, just looking like a great everyday family. But those are the types, not the dudes in the hood sitting in the back corner. Those are the types that are the ones that are doing this to you, except they don't really care about you because it's not personal. They just know what works psychologically, behaviorally, in order to gain access to your account and gain money from you.
Yeah, it can happen. It's so, both my brother and my sister got nailed. So they got the oh, your computer has a virus, click here, and they both were held at ransom. So it was ransomware. And they're not stupid. Both my brother, well, it depends. But we argue once in a while. But
I got a brother too, man.
Yeah, you feel me though.
We can joke about him at least,
Right. But my sister, she had to pay $1,500, and even after that, you wonder. And my brother had to pay a good penny too. But you wonder, wow, are they going to get it again? Yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah, that's super inexpensive. In the business world, I mean, they typically start at 50,000, not 1,500.
Oh,
so somebody like the example you're talking about, if they got hit, I realized it was in their Amazon account, right? Changing the prices and everything. But if it was a ransomware scenario for that business, it likely would be 50K plus. I've seen them into the multiple millions.
Yeah, and now, so I guess they got off the hook. But now the different ways of tricking you. You talk about phishing, but now they're so sophisticated with the phishing. Do you want to go into a few examples about what people should be looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple things to look at when you receive these emails. And they're coming over text messages now too. That's been happening for a few years. So it's not just email; it's also text messages where it'll come across as a specific link, like in a text, and then I'll go back to the email. I still get them. Everybody gets them. No matter how good, Verizon is, AT&T, T-Mobile is actually kind of leading the way technologically on the back end. They've got better spam text blocking today than the other two big carriers, at least in the United States. And you'll receive these messages like, hey, there's a problem delivering your package. And it'll show a link to tap on that's something like a UPS link, or it looks like it's a UPS link. And then it'll ask you to sign in with something that's known to you, because a lot of people have a Gmail account, so they'll be like, hey, single sign in with Gmail so you can see your tracking information. It's the same type of scenario. There's always a receiving end of a message, whether it's in a text message or an email, that looks legitimate. And then it'll take you to a site where you have to log into something. This is the easiest kind of phishing. And when we were talking about like that business of hacking, and I touched on this briefly, it is a multi-billion-dollar business across the world. There is research and development, just like any other tech firm, to try to find ways to brute force your way into somebody's computer, somebody's network. But those are the silver bullets, man. They're not going to go after someone like your example with the Amazon account, or someone who for $1,500. They're not going to spend millions on that.
Right.
They're going to save that silver bullet for like Putin's laptop. What they'll do is they'll send a message in a text or an email that looks legitimate, like we were talking about. It's a lot easier to get you to give up your password. It's actually extremely easy with the behavioral mindset of most individuals. And then they have that password, which is the same password, because most people use the same password for everything. Same password for their Gmail as in Netflix, as in their bank account. That's the problem. So what you look for, like we were talking earlier, take a look at the domain. You know, if you receive something, now, I don't know if you're like me, but I order so much shit off of Amazon, dude. You know, get notification that, you know, it's like 100+ orders a year. You know, so you're talking like one every 2 or 3 days, right? And that's the generation we live in. You know, so if I get notifications from my Amazon app, I normally don't even look at them, because it's just a constant flow of boxes that are coming to my porch. Yeah. But when it comes to an email, it's a little bit of a different story. Now, if you think about it, there's not many emails that require attention from Amazon. Right? Most of them are shipping. So if it's e-commerce or whatever it is, it's like, hey, your order was placed.
Yep.
Right? Your order was shipped. You know, and those are the ones that typically it's like, you know, that you ordered the product, you know approximately when it's going to ship. So you know the tracking information. Typically, most e-com sites, you can log in on the back end and get your tracking information, or they have an app, or of course Amazon does, so you can track it. But it's those emails that come across that you should be looking at where they say, hey, there's a problem. Something that requires you to take action, because those emails are trying to jar you. So right away, when you receive something like that, always be on your guard. You know, because it's not going to be like a shipping email or an order placed email that are the ones you need to look out for. Those things, because you might receive those sometimes like, oh, you know, your subscription renewed, but it's a fake email. It's like, you know, if you have that subscription, at least most people do. So don't worry about those. The ones you should be concerned about mostly are the ones that say, hey, there's a problem with your account. Or, hey, there was a problem with shipping this product. Or, hey, we couldn't charge your credit card. Update your payment method. You know, I get those every time my card cycles with an expiration date on Amazon. And those are the ones. Take a look at those emails with just a quick second of diligence. Look to see where it's coming from. When you click the link, clicking the link is not as bad as what you do on the site when you get there. So when you get to the site, look in the address bar, make sure that it's actually the domain that you're supposed to go to. You know, or if it's on your phone, which is where most of us use, right? If there's an issue with a payment method or something, oh, look, there's an Amazon push notification right there, right? So you can tap on it and make sure it takes you to that app rather than to the browser, because most of those links in those emails that are legitimate will take you and open the app on your phone, like Amazon as an example, rather than taking you just into the browser. If it's Safari on your iPhone, or if it's Android on, or what, Chrome on your Android, make sure it opens the app itself. You know, if it's another e-com site, obviously it's a different story, but take that extra step to make sure it's taking you where you're actually supposed to go.
Right. So it's a deep link. It's going to open up that app rather than take you to the browser.
Yep. Right on.
Yeah. You know, another horror story. So most of the people that are listening here know my friend Tim Jordan. So Tim was at a Howard Kai. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So and I know your brother really well, and we were at an event, Howard Tai's event in Paris, and he won a $5,000 best presentation. So he gets back, he sends over the information to Howard. Howard goes to wire him the money. Somebody reaches out to Howard and says, "Oh, we just changed our bank. Send it over to here." So he did. Tim never got the money. The $5,000 went to a complete stranger, and the problem is, this didn't just happen once. It caused Howard, I think he told me, $200,000. Yeah, and these guys just kept telling people to pay here, pay here, pay here.
Yeah,
and he couldn't fix it. And I have this thing whenever I send money from the Toronto Dominion Bank, I'll get a text almost immediately, and I know it's a spam saying, "Oh, spam alert. Can you click here?"
Yep.
Yeah, and one of the questions I'm going to ask is, and you answered it briefly, but I've done it. My wife has done it, but we've accidentally clicked on a link and we've got like, oh God, the world's coming down around us now. Like, I fell for the phishing. I didn't add anything, but I clicked the bloody link. And
Yeah.
how important can that be? Like, if you click that link, can that lead some sort of malware or something into your computer?
They can, yeah. And if you're, 78% of all traffic is mobile-based traffic these days. I think that's the latest number that I saw. There's two different ways to look at this. And everybody has their opinions on iPhone versus Android, right? Which has the better camera, which has the better OS, all of that. It is just hard truth that iPhone is more secure than Android. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. It's only because Apple's created a walled garden, a closed ecosystem. There's not direct root level access or even down to the operating system level above root with iOS. There's still ways that people have figured out over time, but those are like serious ones. And those are what I was talking about before, like spending millions on R&D. When they find those exploits within iOS, those come up from time to time, but it's not often. Android is much more susceptible. So when you're looking at that, I try to sway people over to, from a security perspective, at least over to iPhone rather than Android, because it's much more secure. It's very it's much easier to sideload apps on Android. It's much easier to get stupid apps that already have the malware in them from the Google Play Store, because they'll just take over control of the phone, your camera, all of that, because you can just publish without as much restrictions in the Google Play Store as you can in the Apple App Store. There's a lot more security-centric behaviors and security measures that exist within the iOS ecosystem than there is in the Android ecosystem. So if that's one thing I can give everybody, I know it's like there's diehards out there, right, man, that love Android. And I'm telling you, like on the back end, it's like my entire company, even from a cyber perspective, uses G Suite from Google. It's great on that. I would absolutely love to have the deep level integration that Android and G Suite have from a productivity perspective. But still, we're only using iPhones, iOS devices within the company, and we push that to our clients as well because they are that much more secure. We can still do 80% of what we need interacting with G Suite from iOS without any issues. There's just some of those cool features that I wish that we had for that integration. Right. But it's much easier to protect myself, and it helps me sleep better at night knowing that, like, the information on my phone, because my company just went public 2 months ago, and the different access and to different systems that my phone has is much more secure running on Apple than it is on Android. It helps me sleep better at night. So clicking that link on a desktop now on the other side, right, that other 22% of traffic, you have to have the right kind of protection on your computer. And traditional antivirus, if anything,
I was just gonna ask you. I've heard this
bullshit these days. Yeah,
thank you.
It's horrible. What you need is something called EDR, endpoint detection and response, because antivirus is old school. It used to work very simply off of a fingerprint. That's when every piece of malware, every virus, all looked the same, or at least close to the same. So they would say, oh, this fingerprint matches, we're going to block that virus. Now it's not that, because from computer to computer, even within your same house, within your same company, as it hops, it looks completely different. So EDR, endpoint detection and response, looks at the behaviors of all of those individual scripts. So it takes a look. Like if you open a PDF and you're like, this software says the difference between antivirus and EDR. Antivirus says, oh, it's a PDF. It's cool. It looks exactly like every other PDF. No problem. But EDR will say, wait a second, why is this PDF, when it was open, trying to contact China? It's a behavioral based analysis versus a fingerprint, because a PDF looks like a PDF looks like a PDF. They all have the same extensions at the end of them, .pdf, but not all of them try to contact China, man. Typically only the bad ones do. So that's what it looks like. And then it'll actually flag things. And this happens in seconds, like literal seconds when you open this thing. It'll even see if it's trying to transmit something to another computer that's local on the network. So it'll start adding things up. And this is where AI comes into play. It's behavioral analysis. As soon as you open that PDF, what happens after you open that PDF? What is that PDF trying to do with your computer? What's it trying to contact outside of your computer? All right, this looks a little fishy. we're going to block this thing and let the user know.
Okay, we're going to get right back to that. We have a short podcast today, so I'm going to do this a little bit early. It's actually not that early. We're already at the bottom of the hour. So if this is the first time you're listening to Lunch with Norm, we have something called the Wheel of Kelsey. And this is where our guest provides a product or a prize at the end of the podcast. So to get into that, it's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. And man, this is an awesome prize today. If we're talking cybersecurity, and there's no better person than our buddy Mr. Rick over there to talk to you for, what is it? What's the prize today?
It's 6 months of my coaching program that just launched this month.
That's crazy. That's great.
Yeah. It's scale. The program is all in CEO, and the group coaching part of that is scale up. And that's really what I'm teaching out, because while I'm super knowledgeable in cybersecurity, I've got to tell you, I love seeing people's lives impact in a positive way and seeing them create wealth for themselves, especially business owners and entrepreneurs. From being literally like the first Geek Squad agent in Chicago when all that launched 20 years ago, to being laid off with brand newborn twins, and then launching ReachOut technology 13 years ago to bringing it to a public company just a couple of months ago with 8 figures in revenue. Like, I know how to scale a business, and that's what I want to see others do, so that they can create that generational wealth for themselves.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I already see a few people entering. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. Kels, can we go to sponsor?
This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by VAA Philippines. Looking for a high-quality virtual assistant for your business? With the rigorous screening, intensive Amazon and Walmart training, and ongoing professional development, get the peace of mind with skilled and motivated virtual assistants for a long-term working relationship. Hire through VAA today, and now let's get back to the show.
All right, so let's stick to this EDR for a second. Are there different programs out there that you could suggest? What is the cost of something like this?
They're fairly inexpensive. It's almost like over the course of time, when antivirus used to be $50, $60 a year, or something like that, and now you see it as $10. They've dropped in price significantly, but that's because they don't work. But they're still selling them. They still provide some protection against that fingerprint base, but that's old tech, man. Something like WebRoot. WebRoot on the consumer side is fantastic. That's the one thing that you can go to Best Buy or wherever and pick up for your personal computer. And that's typically around the same price, like $50, on an annual basis for a subscription. Bitdefender is another one that you can look at that has EDR. This is again on the consumer side, so for your home-based devices. On the business side, it gets much more complex. You cannot go to Best Buy. You cannot pick up what you need. And this is an issue with the industry as a whole right now. That's literally why I went public, man, is trying to bring all this enterprise level security down to a small business price point and accessibility. We're the first nationwide one that's launching as a public company, which is pretty cool. I'm a little proud of that. You need something like SentinelOne. SentinelOne is one of the biggest ones that exists out there. They're also one of the best. The only downside is you have to go through a provider. And this isn't a pitch. Great. If you end up working with ReachOut at some point, that's awesome. But it's like 2 mosquitoes trying to fight over an elephant. No joke. Like when it comes to technology companies, well, we intend to be the biggest and the most well-known. If you search ReachOut Technology, we come up on all the Google searches. You search my name, I'm always front page. Great. But if you choose to work with somebody else, just make sure that they're providing you something like SentinelOne or similar. It has to be that. There's a couple others out there. One other specific one that I'll mention is Carbon Black. Between SentinelOne and Carbon Black, they're almost identical in the ability that they're able to protect. They kind of fight for that position number one. Almost kind of like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Who's better? You can't really determine who's better at any point in time, except on that given day, right?
Right.
During that given day, it's the same thing. It's Carbon Black or SentinelOne. So whoever you work with on the business side, first, you cannot get this stuff on your own. I shouldn't say that. You can, but there's a minimum license count when you go directly to these guys. It used to be 1,000 licenses. I think it's up to 2,500 now.
Wow.
And that's an issue with the industry as a whole, right? Because even small IT firms, this is a problem, man. Even small IT firms, they have to be managing at least 1,000 or 2,500 computers for clients in order to even gain access to the right tech to protect their clients. Yeah, so nowadays, and that's one of the reasons it's like, I'm going big or I have to go home, because the access to these things is just so financially filled with a gap. It's kind of insane in the industry. I'm trying to change that. However, if you find a provider, make sure they use one of those two things for EDR.
Okay, and what kind of cost? So your small business, no, there's no Amazon company out there that's going to buy 1,000 seats. So for the smaller person, they reach out. Let's say they reach out to you for what, SentinelOne. What kind of price are they looking at?
Yeah, there's a couple more components for something like that. If you have 50 people, I think it's a program we just launched actually 2 weeks ago at the beginning of this year. It's called we're calling it our Cyber Fast Track. Because prior we would do super premium. We're managing all of your IT, everything, right? And we're adding the best cybersecurity on, which is actually 34 different things. Only one of those is EDR, because you're talking like managed firewall, something called SIEM, a bunch of tech stuff that protects you from all these different phishing protection, all of these different things. But we're doing it for about $49 a month right now when you have about 50 people total. I think it only goes up to 59 or 69, but that includes EDR, and includes phishing protection. It includes it's 4 other components. I can't remember what those are off the top of my head right now. I don't know, and this is another suggestion. No matter who you choose to do business with, make sure it's not just EDR. Because that again is the other white elephant in the room. It's one of the reasons why I was in the White House, because Homeland still, I think, only puts my industry at 10% actually know what they're doing, man. It's horrible. They think it's just like the old days where you slap antivirus. Now it's you slap EDR on a network and you're okay. So for the smaller Amazon resellers or whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that they're offering more than just EDR. They have to cover at least the basics so that you can obtain cyber liability insurance. Because something happens from a cyber perspective, cyber liability insurance from an appropriate insurance provider is the only thing that will get your money back for real. And there's 6 different components that are included in order to even qualify for that type of insurance these days. It didn't exist, man, 5-10 years ago, right? All you had to worry about was general liability with the business. Now you have to worry about cyber liability.
Yeah, it is important. So probably the best step for a smaller seller right now would be to go over and use the consumer software. Because if you only got 1 seat or 5 seats,
if you got 1 seat, yeah, I would suggest that too. Don't get into it. It's just I would say it's risk versus benefit. When you're smaller, it's an interesting balance game, right? Because I know I started my company thinking as a business owner and entrepreneur with just me, literally just me, to now being a public company. I think back then to where it was like my first year, I might have had $120,000 in revenue. And take home was probably like 70K, in my pocket. So yeah. I know those days of just starting out, and you're trying to get every penny you can out of the thing. You're trying to generate as much revenue at the same time, put food on your family's table. Yeah. So I'm with you. Just understand that doing the consumer stuff, there still is risk, but it's risk at those startup stages that you kind of have to bear.
A lot of times when I'm looking at cybersecurity, the company that I was using before, that was that provided EDR, it only could handle my desktop. So I got it for everybody in our company. If you went onto a personal computer or any computer at all, if you had a laptop and desktop, we were buying licenses for everybody to help protect. But I'm looking over here. It did not protect your iPhone. So they had nothing to protect the iPhone or added protection. Is SentinelOne or the other one able to protect the iPhone? If not, is there something that you can use?
It's one of those other components. Like when I was saying, ReachOut has 34 different items. We call it a stack in our industry. There's other items that allow SentinelOne to protect those things. Because there's something called SASE these days. It's replaced a VPN. It's secure access, secure endpoints. What this does is it almost puts this device back on your corporate network. That's my daughter that's on there with their head on my shoulder. Yeah, on my wallpaper. Yeah, it allows.
I have my phone has Kelsey on my shoulder. It's
that's awesome. Yeah. Aw, he still cuddles. Yeah. That's great. He's backstage. He's probably turning red right now. That's awesome. Yeah. But those types of things, those different layers will allow you, because SentinelOne won't load right on here. However, the secure connection using a different layer, like in-house, we use something called Perimeter 81. And that's even how we give remote workers access. So it's like that computer, that mobile device appears on the internet as if it's actually sitting on the network back at one of our main offices. And at that point, it's protected. So there's all these different angles that you have to cover, but then it comes back to that thing like risk versus reward. Yeah, you can buy the consumer grade product, you can put it on all your machines. It's going to cover you sort of, right? It'll protect against things, alert you against things. But then past EDR comes something called MDR, which is another one of those 34 layers, which is managed detection and response. That's when the humans interact with the AI to actually determine what these things are, how far they're going, watch them, help roll back that attack to the point to where it didn't happen in the first place, recover some of the damages almost within an instant. And that requires human interaction. So EDR is a great place to start, and you need that in addition to some other things like two-factor authentication. God, if you're not doing that these days. I saw someone posted a question about, what do I recommend for a password manager like LastPass or 1Password, right? Almost all of them do the same thing. They've all been breached at some point in time, so none of them are still 100% secure, but LastPass is good. 1Password is another one that I would recommend. Keeper is a big one. You might see billboards all over the place for them right now. They work really, really well, especially on the corporate side. But with that, coming back to what you said, man, like how do you protect your mobile device? It's with those other layers, and this is where it gets beyond those small businesses, because it starts to become expensive. Like even in that cyber fast track, it doesn't include that secure connection to where this lives and operates and talks through your company's network so that it's safe, because that's an even greater and more expensive solution. That's when you're starting to get into quite literally probably about $8,000 a month to cover everything, right? Wow. For about 25, 30 people. But if you're looking at it, I mean, if you're doing a couple million a year in revenue, you need it. You absolutely need it, and it's supposed to be there for you.
Yeah, and let's say that's the Formula One. Yep. But for a lot of the people listening right now, again, they're independent entrepreneurs. They might have 2 or 3 different people. Something is better than nothing. And if we take a look at that affordability level, so somebody that might be doing $50,000 to $100,000 a month in revenue, and Amazon profitability is shrinking all the time, what would you recommend? Just the risk we were talking about, risk evaluation. It's for anybody. You have to figure that out. But that entry level, how can you be safe, or at least start to be safe? What would you recommend at that entry level for Amazon or solopreneurs?
Yeah, you got it. The EDR, like we were talking, which you can use a consumer grade, some kind of two-factor authentication. You can use Authy, you can use Google Authenticator. Make sure all of your accounts are set up with two-factor authentication. That includes Amazon. That can be with push notifications or the codes, right, through Authy. And then the third thing I tell everybody, it's like for identity protection, freeze your credit reports. It's that simple. That way nobody can open new accounts in your name. It's that simple nowadays to download the app in the US from Experian, from Equifax, from TransUnion. If you need to apply for a credit card, if you need to go lease a new vehicle, if you need to get a line of credit from a distributor, whatever, or terms accounts, you can just tap on it and instantly unfreeze your credit report so they can run your credits and then tap back onto it. Or you can set it for like a 24-hour period so it automatically freezes after that 24-hour period. Those three things are the biggest things. And then, of course, as we mentioned, the password manager. That's something you also need to have in conjunction with it. Those things are going to give you the most protection that really you can get for someone who's sitting at that like 50K, 100K level in revenue on an annual basis.
And you talked briefly about just the insurance that you can get. I know with some, especially with the EDR, like you said, you can get cybersecurity with the upper level ones, but to go out and apply for cybersecurity, because this is killing everybody. You know, it's happening more and more, faster and faster. Everybody, I'm sure, knows somebody that's been affected by it. How do you apply? How hard is it to get cybersecurity?
For cybersecurity insurance, yeah, I'll give you I can list them off here, the few things that are actually required for our fast track. Because with ReachOut, we do partner with an insurance provider. It's not something that we provide ourselves. We don't even get commissions off of this. It's just we put the things together that say, hey, this gets you pre-approved. And then at that point, it's just your revenue level that determines what your premium is. We talked about phishing, right? That's one of the things is phishing protection, spam protection. Dark web monitoring is another one to make sure there's no bad hits on the dark web. So as soon as something happens, you can take action, which means if your password gets leaked or sold to the dark web, this tells you within a couple of minutes that it's out there, so you can change the password to that specific item, like your bank account, like your Amazon accounts. Then there's also EDR. That's the last thing that's on there, in addition to something that is more like a dashboard, but it also protects against, we call it rocket cyber on our side, but it protects against unauthorized logins to your Gmail or your Office 365 accounts. So it takes a look. So if somebody from Russia is trying to get into your Gmail account, your Google Suite account, this identifies it immediately and actually blocks it. Gmail doesn't do that. It'll just notify you, hey, somebody logged in from Russia. Well, that's great. They're already in there. Thanks. They were able to get in because they had my password. This works in conjunction with Google and Microsoft to block those from countries that shouldn't be accessing that in the first place. With those components I listed off, you qualify for cyber liability insurance. Okay. And you can get those from anybody, right? But if you're looking at that, even if you're doing 100K, those are the basic components. If you want to protect yourself with an insurance policy, or even if you're demanded to protect yourself, you will probably start to see, my guess, man, and this is maybe like the bombshell for everybody. If you're working with Amazon, if you're selling on Amazon, at some point in time, because this is happening with different areas all across the board, different vendors all across the board, they are starting to require cyber liability insurance. Wow. Because you have data, you have PII, within specific systems, especially e-com, right? So you'll start to see merchant providers, whether you're using Stripe or you're using somebody else, the ones from banks now, if you're going straight to Chase or Bank of America to process your credit card transactions, maybe using authorized.net, we're starting to see them require cyber liability policies. So in order to continue to scale up, right, you're going to have this at some point in time. And those items that I listed off they're not too expensive, right? For 5 people, it's like $60 a month a piece. So what are you talking? Maybe $3,000 a year to have the tools that you need in order to protect yourself enough that you cover the bases to get the cyber liability insurance.
Okay, that's great. And I know that you have to get going. So why don't we do this? If you're interested in the giveaway today, I highly recommend it, but hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and I'm going to sneeze.
God bless you.
Oh, Norm, thank you.
God bless you for having the show to bring good information to people. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem whatsoever. So why don't we do this? I know you've got to get going. We'll do the wheel, and then we'll get back to you. Right, Kels?
Well, how about we do this? Rick, why don't you let us know your contact information, and then you can head out, and then we'll do the wheel without you and let you know who the winner is.
Yeah, absolutely. Contact info, if you want to reach me direct. I mean, my company, I see it on there, right? reachoutit.com. DM me on Instagram. I'm mostly active on Instagram at Mr. Rick Jordan. And I'm in my DMs even personally all the time. I've got a great team that'll make sure that I stay on top of that as well. That's the best way to contact me. Happy to help anybody, answer any quick questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rick, for coming on, especially when you're traveling. Really appreciate it and learned a lot today. So have an awesome show,
Thanks,
and
Norm.
I might bump into you on the strip.
Yep, right on. All right, thanks everyone.
Okay, we'll see you later. All right, so let's do this. Last chance to enter today's giveaway, and today's giveaway is awesome, as you could hear when Rick was talking about cybersecurity. If you're not into it, you better get into it, or you could pay the price. Let me do a quick read, and then we'll go directly over to the wheel. And this is for Seller Basics. Hey, Amazon sellers ever faced account suspensions, ASIN hiccups, or IP headaches? Introducing Seller Basics, your Amazon account's guardian. With just $99 a month, Seller Basics offers a dedicated team to shield your business from these challenges. Plus, this membership offers free legal consultations from seasoned e-com attorneys. No long-term contracts, cancel with just a moment's notice. View Seller Basics as your Amazon account's health plan, and you can check them out at sellerbasics.com. Note, Seller Basics is not an insurer law firm. Consultations from this come from independent firms. Results can vary. Membership needed before events leading to claims, and terms apply. Now, if you're interested in this, simple, go to Seller Basics, and the coupon code is NORM, and you'll get an additional 10% or $10 off a month. Okay, so now I think we can get to the wheel.
It's time for the Wheel of Elsie.
Okay.
All right. So thank you everyone who entered today's giveaway. I'm going to shuffle these up and let's see who today's winner is. If you are the winner, please email me k@lunchwithnorm.com. And
Who is it?
Jason.
Jason. Congrats,
Right.
Jason.
Congratulations, Jason. Just reach out to me, k@lunchwithnorm.com, and we'll connect you with your prize.
Yeah, what a crazy topic. Not a lot of people have been talking about it. This was perfect because looking at some of the comments, I don't think there was too much conversation about this in our group, but just looking at the BDS group, just one of the Amazon sellers there, a well-known guy, got ripped off, and then it just started a whole thread. And just perfect timing. It's so important to think about it. And we did have another podcast on this about 2 years ago, and the urgency, even though it was still there, is not like today. So if anything, take a look at it. If you're just a single user, you have to, do the risk evaluation yourself. But even the consumer products that he talked about, they are so different than going out and getting any of the antivirus products that are out there. So check it out. He gave a couple. Let me just go back in my notes. I made some. So WebRoot and Bitdefender for the consumer side, and then on the other, if you have a few more employees, SentinelOne or Carbon Black. So check those out. Protect yourself, and check out the forum or the mastermind that Rick has. This is something you need to be in the know. I've made the mistakes. I think I'm pretty computer savvy, even though I'm an old guy. My wife has made the mistakes. My brother, my sister have been caught with ransomware on their computer. So just be careful. And Kels, anything else?
I think you covered it. So if you are interested in joining the WhatsApp group that we mentioned a couple times here, everything is in the bio, in the captions, and then also you can sign up for the newsletter, which is also in the captions as well. It goes out every Monday. And so if you didn't receive it and you signed up and you know you did, check your spam box. Just make sure that it didn't go in there, and then if you can kindly move that into your inbox and reply to the newsletter, which I do appreciate. In the newsletter, the first email you'll get is a little email asking you to send a little "Hey Beardo" back to us. So I do appreciate all the "Hey Beardos" I'm getting in the inbox.
And people reading that, it's important because then that'll go directly into your inbox for sure, and it'll skip the spam, which happens.
Yeah. So I think that's it for me.
Okay. So thank you for joining us today.
Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcasts, click over here.
Lunch with